Okay. Hey, we're back.
Did you like it?
Hi. Did I like what?
What we just created.
Oh, yeah. Yes, I don't even remember what I said.
It's very cool. There was a lot, like I said, there's a lot I learned about you, and I think if somebody wants to take the time to watch the interview, there's a lot of little lessons in there. And you were saying while we were talking, like, I don't watch 2-hour interviews. I don't either usually, but sometimes I will. I just I kind of break them up into pieces, and
you can stop and go.
Yeah, and I've seen.
Come in here. Sorry.
I've seen long interviews, and I have a friend that's like ADD. He doesn't have the attention span for it. He's like, I don't know how you watch that shit. And he goes, and I'm like, dude, like, sometimes you just have to have the patience to listen to what's going on and pull out the nuggets from the conversation.
Totally. And look at, like Meredith was saying, it was helping her clear up some things of her own past.
Yeah.
I did have a moment when I logged off then before here. I'm like, gosh, I think I said the same stories as Aaron's. I didn't bring up any of the new ones. So I want to make sure I.
No, it's okay. I mean, like I said, I re-listened. You had mentioned the, because I was asking along those lines too. And I think it might even help him, because people might go and be like, let me check out that interview.
There you go.
Can I go pee for a quick second?
Yeah.
I was supposed to pee before and I forgot to.
I did. I know. I jumped right on. Go right ahead. I'll entertain. Let me fix my hair. Da, 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 da. What's up, everybody? Nobody's even there anyway. Oh, wait. That side's weird. Hi, people. Is anybody there? So I see something here. Oh, live viewers. Thanks for playing with us. So the reason we are continuing is everything was supposed to be under an hour, and we went an hour and a half. As you do when you play. But we hadn't done as our older years. And Hollywood. I think he has some questions regarding my life choices in La La Land. Because he himself is a filmmaker and involved in the industry. But there's a lot of tales out here. Now, bear in mind, I'm working on a coffee table book. Things I've seen. I've just been talking, fixing my lips.
That's the perfect Hollywood logo start. Like, we're gonna talk about Hollywood today. La, 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 la.
Awesome.
All the Trump haters out here.
Are there a lot in La La Land?
Oh my God.
It's pretty bad, right? You're just LA out there.
This is the belly of the beast.
Yeah. And what's her name? Oh,
this is something. Is this the angle that we want to talk about?
Oh yeah. Hey, that's whatever floats our boats.
So
I am curious though, because I miss Chicago. I did.
So sorry for the delay. People had to pee. I didn't know that we were going. I thought we were pausing here. So belly of the beast. As you know, if you're watching this, Chicago's Democrat city, Illinois' Democrat state. And so last year I went to a rally for Trump. And I would say maybe 15 people showed up.
Really?
Yeah, it was small. And it wasn't like people that are libs or like, ha, 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 ha.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing is I think there could have been more people if there wasn't fear of some kind of retaliation. The whole Antifa, Black Lives Matter.
Was that already happening? Okay.
Yeah, this was at the end of this was September, October, before the election. And
where was it? Where did they hold it? I'm trying to picture where it would be.
So if you are in where's my camera here? The heart of the city. This is like downtown.
Yeah.
If you go out west.
Out
west. It was just west of downtown. Like Ogden Avenue. What's the other cross street? Lake Street, Ogden and Lake.
Oh,
in that area.
It's a little clubby, isn't it? A little warehousey.
Kind
Or
of
was.
in that, and
Mhm.
yeah, probably from what you remember, it's like that sort of area. The interesting thing is the people that were putting it together were, shh, don't tell the liberals, they were African American people that were putting together a Trump rally.
Oh my gosh!
Oh my God, like these racist people, how dare they?
How dare they?
But no, it was really cool. The people there were nice. And the lady that I met, who was part of the organizers putting everything together, she was like, I want to get the word out in my community
Mm-hmm.
that the choices that we have between Trump and Biden, there's no Biden is like the worst that could happen for us as a community, a Black community. And so I told her, I'm like, I just came out just because like I saw you guys doing your thing, and I've seen all these Trump rallies in Wisconsin and
Yeah.
Minnesota and Indiana. I'm like, but this is my hometown, so if I'm going to come and support, it's going to be here. But yeah, it was small. It was,
I can't believe that. We never even heard about it.
yeah,
So
Chicago's not going to have a big Trump rally. There's way too many. It's so the interesting thing with the whole COVID and the mask thing is
yeah.
I live farther out from the lake or from the center of town.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say this was probably September, October last year as well. One of my personal trainer friends wanted to get together, and I'm like, yeah, man, I'll come pick you up. He lives in Lakeview, like by the lake.
Yeah.
So as I'm driving, as I'm getting closer and closer and closer to the lake, I see more and more people wearing masks outside.
Yeah.
Like people walking by themselves outside.
They're on the beach by themselves out here.
Yeah, it's like that doesn't like.
No.
That to me is the logic has gone out the window when I see people doing that. So yeah, Chicago's kind of, and so the other
crazy.
Interesting thing is, we had just finished the last video talking about how I received all these blessings. I believe that I received all these blessings from God last year, and one of them was doing a road trip. I probably traveled more last year than any other year combined. I'm pretty sure I hit 15 or 17 states last year.
That's awesome.
And
that
so,
good.
So if anybody would have seen like the whole COVID scare thing, I think it would have been me.
Yeah.
And I ran into states where it was like, wear the mask, and we were in states where it was like no mask.
It's so crazy.
Where we were in some states where people are like freaking out about it. We were in some states where people are like, whatever, like do whatever you want.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the thing for me on a personal level was just like, I've been fighting, as you have, online, to try to get the word out, to try to get, I don't necessarily use the word truth, because truth can be whatever people make it sometimes.
Sure. It's also a trigger word now for people.
Yeah. For me, it's more about like, let's just get the information out, let the chips fall where they may, and you decide as an individual what you want to do.
Yeah.
And I think that isn't even an option on the table as far as like the elites or whatever you want to call them.
Yeah.
So the interesting thing for me, getting to see the country last year and traveling all over the place, was how many people from back home were like, COVID, wear your mask, blah, 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 blah. You're insane for traveling and blah, 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 blah. And you should be vaccinated and quarantined and all this stuff. And I'm like, look, man, I just traveled through 15, 17 states, not a tickle in my throat. So if this is like some crazy pandemic, I should be dead.
Yeah.
And it's
the homeless in LA should be littering the streets. They're just multiplying.
So, and then unfortunately, I also have friends who have told me through the grapevine or just in a comment or whatever, like, hey, my uncle passed away, my aunt passed away, my this, my that, my whatever. And what I'm trying to do isn't to take away from that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not trying to say like, oh, your uncle died from COVID, so that's bullshit. I'm not
I
trying to
know.
say that. I'm just trying to
Yeah.
say what's the information that we're getting that's not allowing a majority of us to like decide what we want to do. Because if
Right.
it's just fear mongering for the sake of fear mongering, that
Yes.
doesn't help anybody.
It doesn't help anyone. And really good natured, healthy people, some of them haven't put together yet. Why in an entire year have we not had a ticker tape on all the MSN and everything going, get sunshine, vitamin C, like the proven cures? Like,
Mm-hmm.
why is that not the norm?
Yep.
It's crazy, pretty crazy, fascinating. But that is a kind of a segue to Hollywood too, because with
Yeah.
the Trump stuff and CV and everything. But wait, before we start that, because I'm loving how these chats are working now. Do you know Javier? Oh, Javier asked me to talk about PP and Ma'olek. I think I'm gonna have to do a separate video, Javier, because it's pretty intense. So I am promise you I'm gonna do that, and I'm gonna do it
You got to
soon.
get ready for
Get it
that,
out.
right?
I gotta get that one out and quicker and shortened. They just passed the 1.9 stimulus in Senate, House vote next week. I get so bothered by that because it's like, here's some more money, dangle on a carrot, fight amongst yourselves, and it's like, we shouldn't be having it in the first place. But let's get the $100,000 a month for 11 years. That'd be great. Or 10 grand a month. What is it? Car was egged. His car was egged by some Hispanic kids because I was in a Trump car parade. You know, I had my very first white situation happen last weekend. I was with my daughter's old teacher. We were on a beautiful hike. We were down by where Biden is, Helms District, Culver City, by the studios. I've been out.
Don't tell anybody. Shh.
I was telling her all about it. I was floored because usually around town here, I'm up in the valley or I go to the beach, majority muzzled, but you still get a sprinkle of people. I didn't see one damn person unmasked. And they were hiking and exercising and walking. So we're walking back and we're walking through a very busy area with they shut down the street so they could move all the restaurants out on the street and then put everyone inside a plastic tent. So you got the asphalt fumes, you got the plastic fumes, and you're paying full price. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Such bullshit.
Right.
But we're walking up to this man, African-American man. I don't know, PC, you can't even just say a black man anymore.
No.
Holding this sign, do you have empathy? And I could see the teacher friend and I were like, we're going to shed some light. Yeah, we're going to like, hey, what's up, Chorus? Hey, walk up and we're like, yes, sir, we do. God bless you. Have a beautiful day. Oh, yeah, enjoy your white privilege, bitch. And I was just like, oh, what the? And I had the kids with me and I was like, what?
And he's the one holding the empathy sign. Come on.
Yeah. And the funny thing is he had a mask on, but it was only around his nose. So he could yell at people, I guess. But I was just like, for fuck's sake. And I haven't sheltered myself all year, but I really try not to engage. As much as I loathe Bezos, I get groceries delivered because I don't want to deal with surrounding myself and handpicking with the muzzles. You have to pick and choose your stress levels. But so when you brought up the egg thing, Javier, I thought of that moment of the natives are restless and they're feeling balls now because their puppets and their robots have won, and they all feel like they can now scream at all the Trump supporters, the white. I mean, it's a civil war right now.
Well,
for
what's
sure.
disgusting,
Yeah.
I want to kind of mention that too, is having the Hispanic kids throw an egg at your car because you're in a Trump parade or whatever.
Yeah.
It just goes to show the ignorance. Like,
Yeah.
look at my little last name here on this little wherever.
Yeah. I can't.
Guess what? I'm Hispanic, and
I can't do it.
I support Trump.
Yeah.
I've had people in my family like cut ties with me because of my support for this man.
Mm-hmm.
And all of it comes, not all of it, a majority of it comes from what he said way in the beginning, when it was like Mexico sending their rapists and their terrorists and all that shit. And they took offense to it. They're like, he's talking about Mexicans in a bad way. And I'm like, no, he's not. He's not. My thing, and I learned this actually years ago from doing my personal development stuff. And it was like a really cool lesson. And it wasn't like, I don't think at the time there was like this whole like divide of race and all that kind of shit. But the guy that was on stage was talking about words and labels and all this kind of stuff and why we get offended by it. He goes, He goes, so, and he's up on stage. He goes, so, you know, everybody in here, I'm just going to call you purple. He goes, do you have a problem with that? And everybody's like, no, that's stupid, right? And he goes, right, it's just a word. He goes, what's the meaning that you attach to that word? Nothing, because it's purple. Like, what's purple?
Mm-hmm.
But if I call you something else, he goes, I'm not going to say it on stage because I know people will get offended. But if I start calling, you know, the ethnic groups in here different derogatory names, then we're going to get offended by it. Why? Because you've already attached a certain meaning to that word. But he goes, if you really think about it, it doesn't, like, the word doesn't mean shit.
Mm-hmm.
And he got back into like the whole idea of whatever you attach a meaning to, that's what it means to you. That's why I mentioned earlier, I'm like, I don't like to use the word truth so much, because truth, my truth can be different from your truth.
Yeah.
So we're talking about truth, but it's not the same thing necessarily.
Right.
And so I learned that lesson at that seminar, and I was like, seeing everything that happened the last 4 years with Trump, it was just like, do you guys not see, like, this is just a game of labels and words and nonsense, and you guys are getting all what do you get it, bent out of shape for this stuff. Mm-hmm. So, and you've seen my posts, like, I poke, because I want to see who's got a soft skin and who's tougher.
Yeah.
And the soft skinned people, the people that are like, oh, don't touch me, the snowflake people, mm-hmm. They cut me off right away.
Yeah, me too. I had someone want to report me to the FBI. Okay,
that's an awesome story.
Tell them I said that. Tell them Q sent me. Mm-hmm. That's what I told them.
By the way, they're listening to us anyway, so
I know. Hi guys, I won't be long. That's, you know, there you go. I know we could go for ages on the Trump. So the one point I think I was talking about last night with it though too is people are becoming not unhinged, but maybe the slow exposure of what pseudo President Biden is actually doing is slow to kick off, because no one paid attention to anything Trump did in 4 years. The executive orders made, the speeches or anything. So they're not really aware. These things are overturning. People are like, wait, what? What did Trump actually do? So I'm waiting for that to kick off a little more, you know? It's
what's interesting.
3D bullshit. Though,
what's interesting that you mentioned that is, like, you know, I have friends that are black that are like, fuck Trump, that asshole, you know, this and this and that. He does nothing for our community. And I'm like, do you not understand what he's done for the historical black colleges?
Yeah.
HBCs?
Yeah, they don't.
Like, you don't,
no
because
idea.
you hate the guy so much that any little news item that's negative, you attach yourself to the negative and not what he's done positive for your community.
Totally.
And it's interesting to me. So for anybody who's watching that doesn't know, and mm-hmm. Trump has told this story too. He's told this story many times. He's like, they would come in, they want money from the government, so they have to basically ask for the money. They have to ask for the grants or the donations. I forget what it is specifically. And Trump would be like, yeah, sign off on it. He said by the third year that they came in, the presidents of the colleges that were coming in asking for the money, he's like, why do you guys keep coming back? And they told him, it's a yearly thing. We've never been given money like for 5 years or 10 years. And he's like, that doesn't make any sense. He goes, I like seeing you guys. I want to hang out with you guys, but I don't want you coming back every year. And one of the presidents from one of the colleges told Trump, yeah, we feel like we're begging for money. And he's like,
that's what they've been making them do.
Exactly. And he's like, well, that ends today. You're not doing that anymore.
Such a beautiful man.
And so he gave the historical black colleges money for, I believe, like a 10-year kind of thing. Like, you don't have to come back every year. You'll get money for 10 years. And then after 10 years, if you want to come back and ask for it, come back. Mm-hmm. But I see that and I'm like, dude, you guys are so freaking ignorant. You hate this guy and you don't understand what he's done.
Yeah, it boggles my mind. Mm-hmm. Totally boggles my mind, which could, here we go, Hollywood land, ask anything you want. But yeah, it became, the times I was on set is one thing, but what I'm witnessing online is fucking Civil War 101. It's bullshit. It's fucking bullshit. It's ignorant, it's hypocritical, and it's cruel. And it's literally Civil War on set. Like, how dare you speak your mind? And I have so many little opinions about it. But as
So
of
how was it? Let's like
focus.
rewind. How was it
Focus.
before Trump got into office?
Pardon?
Like how was it before Trump got into office? Like all the behind the scenes, like you're doing the craft services. How were people like?
Mm-hmm.
What's the night and day difference between before he was in office and then after?
So even leading up to the election, something that was a great comfort is it's kind of like don't talk politics and religion.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't do that on set very much. We were a bunch of carnies, with mad, crazy, awesome skills that a team put up content together. And so sometimes you just didn't go there. I don't think people wanted to go there. Mm-hmm. I went there. But I, took it. I went full reptilian, but there just wasn't that much talk. And I guess it must have been the old time guys and gals that learned way back when you don't talk about it. And plus, of course, you have the Secret Society and Illuma Donkeys running a lot of the shows and the CCP. So as much as they're the good, just everyday Joe Schmoes on set, everybody has a very firm opinion. So we come up to the election, we're getting to the election, and it really was almost taboo to talk. It was very eggshelly. Mm-hmm. And every so often there'd be pockets of conversation. And I would give 2 cents here and there and try to make everything as cheeky as possible. But you kind of gathered who was batting for what team, or you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And it's very heavily Democratic, I feel. I think it's radical, 100% left. I think even the Joe Schmoes that don't know any better even jump on that train because it's easier. It's more comfortable. It's, don't mess with anybody. I still have people that are scared to talk with me on the phone or somewhere. They think they're going to be watching the FBI's at the door. And I'm like, honey, if they haven't come for me by now, you're good. Right. Don't worry about it. But I understand what they're saying because I was the one with the floppy phone from 10 years old, almost like a flip phone with Band-Aids and paint on my camera. And they're like, why are you doing that? I'm like, oh, they listen to everything. I don't want them to. They were like, you're crazy, but now they're doing it. And they're like, I can't rock the boat or not think according to the norm. My whole retirement is my sovereignty. Being my own boss, especially in my own department, and being the way shower of a healthier way of doing things is crafty. Also making it a little more artful and what have you. But it was very high vibe stuff. They took it all away from me. So I just naturally was not going to go back and play the game anymore. But it wasn't a game. Like we said, it merged all my loves. It was happy. People were more refined and selective in their conversations about politics. I even according to hubby now, everybody's muzzled. So they really can't talk about it. And then I don't know if you've seen the photos of what they've done to people at lunch, but if they have their own 4-foot table or 2 people for a 6-foot table, scattered 6 feet, like no one's communicating anymore. Just like that meme.
Is this just regular restaurants or
no, this is lunch break for set. Like breakfast, lunch, they don't get that. No one's communing anymore. And just like that meme of the Revolutionary War, stuff happens in the bars and the rest, when you're socializing, good ideas, plan of attacks, everything. So they're keeping people very separated. They've herded them like cattle even. There's like group 1, group 2, group 3. And I know the bullshit behind it. I know I have medic friends that believe in the passion of it all, and they're leading teams of COVID compliance now. But I'm like, that's a fucking agenda. And I know one in particular that knows better because we'd be the ones over at the table. Oh my God. Like he's talking about his guns with Trump and, taking care of health, like real health, like taking care of your foundation and making your immune system so strong you can repel things. And they're leading a compliance team. So I'm like, this is hypocritical. I don't understand. Like you have the chance to rise up. Everyone's scared of losing their job. That's the fear. And I understand. And the universe provided for me that the timing of my elopement and his green card and getting a career and Newsom stealing my career. So I get a little bit of unemployment still. But I'm able to have a choice. A lot of them don't have a choice, but they also have not had the years of practice that I have of speaking up on set. So they're at a rock and a hard place because it's even gnarlier now. Like why would you speak up about a health thing when the entire shoot is fear-based? And the narcs are in full force. Their balls have hung so low now. They're batting people with them. They're like literally shaming, not virtue signaling, gaslighting, but literal like, you ignorant. Like, I'm seeing shit online that I would never dream I could possibly think I would see again. Or, it's just like the inhumane treatment. And so people are okay. And it's like the system cannot collapse amongst itself because it's still in full compliance. And there's a huge rumor going around that Hollywood is closed and they're draining the swamp. Hollywood has never been busier. Well, I'm sure it's been busier, but and for years we've had productions go out of state due to tax purposes. But the studios are up and running. TV shows are out. I just got asked to do another 30 days on a TV show. I'm like, no, thank you. And I have to tell you that in a little bit. I give them my 2 cents. But in a way, they still ask though. That my blacklist isn't all the way around yet. But I did it. I lost my train of thought.
Well, I wanted to throw something in there because you were talking about you have the doctor that knows the good stuff, but he's still in compliance with the not so good stuff.
Yeah, not even a doctor, just the on-set medic. But go ahead.
So what's interesting on my side that I see, I have a lot of friends who are teachers, they have their corporate jobs, and they see my post, but they never comment on the post. They don't do the like thing or anything like that, but they'll send me text messages not on the regular, but like on the down low and be like, yo, I don't know what you're doing, what information you have, but keep it going because we can't talk.
Oh,
and it's like you said, it's that fear of losing my job or the reputation or whatever. And it's sad that it's come to that.
It's horrifying.
That you have to like hide
your beliefs.
And here's the thing. All it is like, it's a belief, it's an opinion. And it goes back to what I said earlier. It's just a label. Like, hey man, I'm just speaking some words here. They can be pretty harmless, or if they scare you, they can be pretty dangerous.
Yes.
But why do these words, thoughts, ideas, why do they scare you? Like, what's the big deal? Like, let's have a conversation.
Yeah.
And the sad thing is there's people like you and I online that are being labeled like the conspiracy theorists and the weirdos, and we're dangerous now and all this kind of shit. And it's just like, no, we're just the brave ones that are out there sticking our necks out. And and here's the thing, I've said to a few friends that aren't Trump supporters, but they're like, why do you support this guy? Why do you, like, he's done, like, he's not in office anymore. And I'm like, dude, there's a part of me that says I will die on that sword because I don't think this man is full of shit.
Right. Or he wouldn't have walked away like that and let it all just fall down.
Anything. And it's not, and the thing is, and the thing is, the way I look at it is not just him, it's like the millions of people that are looking to build a better America for our kids, and not this fear-based, no information, censorship, like all that crap that we're seeing now. That's why I stick my neck out. I'll die on that sword.
Yeah.
And there was a podcast I listened to over the summer, and the guy was like, if Trump was such a bad guy, like a dictator or whatever, and he was doing all these evil things that we can convict him for and whatever, he goes, why did Trump basically open up the death penalty for America on the federal level? Because that puts him in danger.
Yeah.
He allowed or opened up regulations so more people can buy guns. So like now you're letting like the peasants have weapons that can come after you. If he was such a bad guy, or if he was that terrible, and he's giving us the ammunition to go after him, why would he do it?
He's a genius at the art of war.
Well, but I think it's because he has nothing to fear from the
Of course.
regular folk.
Right.
He's going after the people that want to stop him, and those people are the ones that are holding us down.
Of course.
That's the problem.
Well, that's this, I feel, with Hollywood too. I even saw a comment with the Hollywood needs to die. That triggers me sometimes, Javier, because there's so many good people in it. And I've watched people, there's even people, so one of my first bosses for craft service, when I went from in front of the camera to behind, was Rob Schneider. And his movies, I learned all my crafty stuff on, and he taught me all about healthy eating. He started my high vibe. He taught me about koji berries, and he's like vegan and healthy. And the thing is, he and his brother take their own money and produce themselves. They do not, they're not tied to a network. And now I'm aware of it. I wasn't aware at the time, but I'd always be like, but it's Rob Schneider. Why do I have a budget? Like, why am I stretching a budget? And now I understand, because he creates his own content and he releases it on his own. And he's like Tom McDonald out there. Mm-hmm. And so there's a lot of those guys in the middle infiltrating, and you have to balance out that dark with the light. I still am not sure how they're going to do it. I'm not so 100% sure that people have been replaced. But some of the gnarliest, headliners you can think of, Kevin Spacey, all them, they're working. My husband just worked with them. They're working. Not only that, I had somebody who knows Kevin Spacey's publicist. And when she even mentioned, she's like, well, what do you think? Isn't that crazy? How many more headlines coming up this year for him? She's like, I don't know what you mean. They're so memory wipes. And fun fact for people during this pandemic, scamdemic year, what's his name? AJ Truth, or Awakening guy, redhead. Why can't I think of his name? I just reposted.
Oh, I don't. What I mean? I know who you're talking about. Yeah,
he just did one today on Hollywood, and they are the puppets. These celebs do not have a say.
Yeah,
they are even their Instagrams, their social medias. They are controlled by their team and their network of people. So, a good friend of mine, she knows an Academy Award-winning Black woman who was during this all. She went to her house to visit. She didn't know what to do with her mask. All these things. She didn't want to start talking about BLM. She goes, well, that's just more division, right? And then all of a sudden, her Instagram blows up. BLM things, reposts. She got pressured. And then the Kevin Spacey manager lady told my friend that everybody was given a one sheet, the rules to follow as this unfolds. Not only can you never be caught dead without a mask, or during heavy lockdown, leaving your house. I want to believe there's the ankle bracelets on people, that's happening. I'm saying, none of us are ever going to figure out how they're going to do it or how it's going down. And I believe in multi-dimensions. So things are going down underneath our eyes. I believe that. I literally feel Los Angeles lightening up. There were times where the gravity of it, the dark energy, not just even the toxic air is starting to clear up, but it's feeling like it's lightening up. So however they're handling that, that's great. But the charade is full on. The shows, the movies. He's on a Michael Bay movie now. You don't know who's connected with who and how. And yes, Javier, I saw, yes, CCP owns Holly. Luma Donkeys run Holly. The Gay Mafia runs Hollywood. They're all connected. So I don't know how those systems are going to be handled, but there are millions of people at work right now, and they've been at work since June. So I'm going to put my heart and soul into, yay, good for them. Let's just keep bringing the dark into the lightness, because just like those things we were talking about before, once you put attention to it, it can,
And one of the things, these kinds of things make me wonder, there's probably a lot of people in Hollywood that aren't crazy, cuckoo, pedophile, all that shit.
Of course.
They're probably just normal people like you and me, just
passionate. Yeah.
Trying to pay a bill, live their lives, do the thing that they want to do.
I hustled hard from the second I got here. I've been hustling and I've been involved in it. So
and it makes me wonder, if the real truth comes out, the real truth comes out, I think on some level, hopefully those bad actors will get replaced.
Yeah.
And the good people can come into Hollywood and we can get the good stories and not all the garbage that we're seeing. And it's interesting because it made me think of the the pipeline that Biden shut down recently.
Yeah.
where all those workers were like, hey, man, I had a job, I had a good job, now I don't have a job because this guy's in office. And I've heard the argument like from the people on the left that are like, well, that's a good thing because we don't want to harm the environment and this and this and that. And I said, but in my mind at the same time, I'm like, but you got all these people that are losing jobs, losing money, that how are you going to replace that?
Yeah.
And the way I've looked at it has always been like, you've got these industries like oil, but the stuff that we're not told about, like free energy, that can come in and replace it. But I don't think you just replace oil, like take it out and then all these people don't have work. I think you kind of mix, you mix in the free energy stuff, and over time, you know, however that industry turns out to be, like whatever manufacturing comes out of it, whatever jobs come out of it, like those, like people will kind of shift over.
Yeah. Totally. I feel that too.
And I think that's one of the ways to like get rid of Hollywood is you don't just like flush everything down the toilet. You just
transition
it. You show people like, here's what the bad people were doing. And if you want to keep following these fools, like that's on you. But I think the market, I'm one of these like free market Mises.org guys that like believes in like, if you get the government out of the way, if you get all the special interests out of the way, people will decide what they want and what they don't want.
Totally.
And, I think that's how you handle it.
I think that's 100%. That's spot on right there. And those that don't like it, because right now, from what I'm seeing, not to shame anybody myself, but those that do know what's going on in Hollywood and don't say anything, they're almost complicit because they're letting it roll out. It's just the little moments and the little right things to say and do and plant seeds. It's possible. Anybody can do that. The ones that are so hell-bent on putting someone down, like you're so been wrong and conspiracy nut and all that, it's like, prove me wrong. Yeah. Prove me wrong. I can show you proof it's going on. You prove wrong that it isn't. You know, like the leadership roles have turned into little Gestapo situations. And I'm worried because some of the most heart-centered people I know that are still in the thick of it are considering leaving. And I'm, you know, they honor their decisions and things, but it's like, I feel this revival, especially with Age of Aquarius and Golden Age here, it's going to be a boom again, not controlled, indie style, and, you know, all heart-centered, hands on deck. So I hear what you're saying. I always wanted it to be the passionate ones, but there you go. And Aaron Truth Quest was here. China and CIA Black Hats are working together. Totally. They are. He said hi.
Hi.
We are. Well, what else about La La Land? You said you had questions because of what did any business parts of it you were curious about?
Like the thing with the Hollywood thing is like I said, when I was younger, I'm like, I want to make movies and I want to do that thing. And we talked about it in the interview stuff that you and I did, that maybe I was kept away from it for a reason.
Yeah.
And you know, we talked about and I forgot his name when we were doing the interview, but his name is Randy Posh, who did the last lecture. He did that last lecture, the thing that we talked about. But I think for me, the Hollywood thing is like across the country thing. It's just more open out there, you know.
It is everywhere. Every major city has a studio and there's productions going on. It's just a hub and it's a ley line. We have it's been a nefarious and iconic ley line for decades, century. And so we started with the studio starlets and everything. It's owned and paid, you know. Like I said, Gay Mafia runs the town. And it's been a machine forever. And who's not to say in all the other, like Canada and Atlanta and all the other studio houses, you know, can still be controlled by the puppet masters from wherever they are. But the system was put in place here. That's why I feel it's the city of Los Angeles. You know, even myself, I got in that car and drove out here with a dream and a goal. And, you know, the Cali life and things, and they really paint that picture, and the cattle calls and the managers and agents and the grind you go through, and then come to find out the system that's in place is the groomed children from the SRA rituals and the inbred families, 13 bloodlines, and the Luma donkeys. Well, they're the ones picked, but let's keep this little rat race going because all it does is generate loosh. So this town is run on loosh and energy like that. I think a lot of energy workers and healers flock here too. And they also feel like they cannot leave right now, which is great. You know, they're like, we got a lot of work to do in the next few years as things get unfolded. People are going to have a lot of trauma to deal with. But I just find it, the systems that are in place, the children run on children's blood, all of that was specifically because of the ley lines and to control the media, to control the propaganda that they put in people's faces. So it was cool to see. I mean, it's so funny. I used to, my sister and I would dress up and wear my mom's, just get decked out and watch the Academy Awards. I've been saying my speech for the Independent Spirit Awards for like 30 years. I've been practicing forever. And I still get tears every time.
That's
like,
funny.
It's just, and I'm like, oh yeah, the Golden Globes run. Like, okay. You know, I worked in the daytime Emmys, you know, like there's just, it's just the of Hollywood is gone, and it's more of like, oof. It's still this thing though, and I think that's past life stuff too, of just needing to be here and wanting to be here. And the call to come out here. Like I even had someone say I was a studio starlet back in the day. You know, I was taken out early by the dark. So I'm just kind of here for my revenge.
I would love to see like you talked about the indie thing.
Yeah.
I would love to see more of an indie vibe out there. Like I understand it takes a lot of money to make these big Hollywood pictures. Like we could probably sit here and have a conversation with either Rocco or Jesse about that because they were like behind the scenes and all that shit.
Let's do that sometime. I love that.
But it would be so cool, I think. Like you and I talked about this off camera the other day. One of the guys that I watch on YouTube, because I think he tells like really good stories, but it's just stories from his life.
Yeah.
And is Adam Savage from the Mythbusters. Like I used to watch the Mythbusters on Discovery Channel, and now I watch him on YouTube, and it's a completely different show on YouTube than what he was doing on Mythbusters, where he had like there's production and all this stuff. On YouTube, it's just him and he's tinkering and in his little shop and he's making stuff, and that to me is like fascinating. So it would be really cool to see some kind of version of Hollywood where you get like almost like a band, like 3, 4, 5 people of filmmakers, and they're kind of doing their thing and they're just spitting out work after work after work, and you can kind of see and be like, whoa man, that movie was cool, that thing was cool. It'd be really neat to see like just it's almost like a jam session. Like I just want to see filmmakers jam. I just want to see people that are creative jam. Like I watch, and this is YouTube is one of the coolest things that's ever happened and one of the scariest things that's ever happened. So there's a guy, I think, he's in Russia, I think, does a YouTube channel where he restores like mechanical stuff. Again, it's just fascinating to me. So here, and I'm thinking like as a filmmaker, I'm like, former filmmaker, I'm like, I'm watching this guy who's a mechanic or like a body guy. Like I saw one video where it was like, we were talking about like, who would watch an hour video? I watched an hour and a half video of this guy. He took an old motorcycle, like all rusted out from the 1940s or 50s, some old ass motorcycle, basically pulled it apart, every little piece, and filmed it. Like, you know, and he did the editing and whatever. And then he shows you he shows you in the video, stripping it apart, cleaning it, fixing it, putting it back together. And then at the end of the video, you see the before and after, like this old ass, raggedy ass motorcycle and this beautiful, like, holy shit, he restored this thing. And like I said, it's like an hour-long video, and he's not a filmmaker, but like, or he's not TV guy, he's not like, you know, Discovery Channel guy, but he's basically making that kind of content. And I'm fascinated because I'm like, this guy's like a mechanic body shop guy, but he's putting on a really good show, like a really good, good TV kind of content type show.
That's
So I
yeah.
would love to see more of that.
I think that's brilliant. And then they're in control of their own content. That's the thing. Like I call us carnies when we're on crew because we are. We go wherever, even mountainsides, set up shop, shoot, break it down. You never know where you're there. But the thing is, every individual person has such a major skill set. And it's fascinating. I can't do what some of these people do. They can't do what I can do. But it's fascinating. And the fact that we can all come together. The indie style, I would love that for Takeoff. One of my, other than Promise You, when I came out here, I did a short and Hustled Again, but 976 Lars. It was comedy. Everyone assumed I did porn. Hell no. Remember, I was rude. I've gotten that. Even my ex was like, that's not me in the video, right?
It's funny.
But it got me through the festival circuit. And we had such a wonderful time. And it was made on pennies. I was buying snacks for people. There wasn't anything there, but it was driven by passion and art and blood, sweat, and tears. And I just love that. I love that. And then and then it was the years of the indies. Remember when indies took off and they just kind of covered all the awards?
Yep.
I was like, it's time. I was really getting excited. And guess what the fucking CCP mafia donkey people did, and they just got their hands in it.
Yeah.
Like, damn. So it's kind of not a rock and a hard place. It's just I'm hoping more people rise and use their voice and say we don't consent. At least get rid of the suppression and the falsified data agenda that's going on right now on set. But letting there's people that have branched off. They've been fabulous producers, ADs, director, all these things, and they just go off and start doing their own content. You get to head with the beast, and you're like, I don't want to play. And then some sign up, and boom. But that's a fun fact for a lot of the actors in the circuit. I used to do work in the improv scenes too. House manager, and just met all those peeps. Did the comedy clips, and one thing I think I'm for a lot of things, but one of it was I never took rejection bad because I always knew, well, that wasn't meant for me. You're always just, that's not mine. The next one will come. But I'd see people just saw what they were putting themselves through, and they were the first to bite for the dark ones that they were preyed upon very easily because that's all that this is out here. It's the dreams and this. Ooh, it's so lushy. You have all of what is even the name of them? There's sloth, there's gluttony, there's you have all
the 7 sins. Yeah.
Yeah, that's run on it. So you get the little angels of the city of Los Angeles, and you get them, messing things up in there. At least it's kept it balanced. But I don't know where I was going with that, but
that's it's interesting that you mentioned the theater stuff, because even that would be awesome to
Yeah.
I think that's the thing that when I look at the big picture, and people ask me, why do you support Trump? And I'm like, I think one of the things is this guy gets it. He wants people to be productive and move the country forward. And I think part of that equation is also people that are in the industry that we're in.
Yeah.
We want to entertain actors, directors, producers. I think that's a part of it. But if people don't have money, if people are being told what to do all the time, if people are being restricted and you can do this, but you can't do that, I think it's hard to be creative under that environment.
Yeah.
And here's a guy that's a businessman that I think understands, if I'm running a theater show production thing, I got to find a way to not only do the entertainment thing and do my passion and my art, but also try to find a way to make money with it.
Yeah.
And get more people into the door and into the seats. And so yeah, even the theater people, bands, musicians, all that kind of stuff is it's so interesting because I think you know this. Like, there's a lot of our friends or people that we know that wanted to do the filmmaking thing, that wanted to do the theater thing, be in a band or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and everybody's got a part-time job, and
Yeah.
the job has to be just right so you have time to do this other thing.
Yeah.
And the other thing being
I
the
was
thing that
so
you,
particular about that. Yeah, I
yeah.
really picked my jobs because of that.
And it's interesting that we have that, whereas like somebody, who grows up wanting to be a dentist or a doctor, it's like you kind of just you go into that field and you're set,
Yeah.
sort of thing, where we
Big
have to like,
balance. We wore a lot of hats.
yeah.
Yeah, one of my first jobs, so moving out here was November 2000. I had a couple first jobs, but Crafty, I met Crafty. I knew him from Chicago, and I introduced you guys to him.
Mm-hmm.
But he got me on set at Sunset Gower Studios, which ironically is super old Hollywood. I felt the old Hollywood buzz, so there I was. It was like within months I was a runner, a PA on there, but I hustled. And then eventually, at a production company, I wound up being a receptionist, executive assistant on a show. Like I worked through the ranks. But I also did my very first job month in, because all of a sudden it was like, oops, I ran out of the $200 I brought to move across the country. And I was a courier for Courier Express. And we dealt with the breakdown service. So the breakdowns are what the agents would send out to the casting directors, and then they'd send out their headshots. And nothing was on the computer really at the time. So I'd be picking up boxes of headshots and delivering to like William Morris and the mail rooms, and I'd be dressed up, and the courier guys were super South Side. I was pretty much the only woman doing it, and I was only the second Caucasian person doing it. And I got some leads though. I got to start doing soap operas then. But so everything for a reason. But I hustled the jobs. I wouldn't wait tables. I did not want to be stuck in a restaurant. I'm like, I don't care who you're going to meet. I need to be in it. And then I was dressing up as characters for kids' birthday parties. You remember that? I think you were in town for that. That only lasted.
I remember you doing the courier thing. I was in town for the courier.
Okay.
I remember
I
that.
had my little walkie-talkie, and everything was on the Thomas Guide. I had a map on my lap to drive around, and then I made chump change. But it was good times. I even went on a game show. I think I won 2,000. I cried for like a week. Like, yes, I made it.
Hey.
Yeah, I was like, I made it so big. There's just those little bits are just they lead you up.
And like I said, I think that would be cool to see, is just like more of that indie vibe, and in filmmaking and theater and with the bands.
Well, Tom McDonald's leading the way there. We need more of him, who's making his own sets, his content, you don't think.
You were telling me about that. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, just that can go a long ways with even my pal Davis. She's still knee deep. Like, she just did a scene with Patton Oswalt, and and it's like her agent manager knows she's a trumper.
I like that guy.
Knows she's. Oh, I know. I worked with him too, man. I wore a white rabbit head and wore my Q shirt. He's a demon. Yeah.
If I was just gonna say, if there's a disgusting human being, that's one of them.
It was so interesting. I did this job. He's a total germaphobe. I had to get like a certain amount of things. This is way before COVID. Everything had a big package, all these things. Germaphobe, little shit, and literally kind of smells. So I work with all ages and sizes, and the grips are notoriously, they're always teased for being like the big burly men, but these were big burly old men, and they couldn't stand the man. They literally couldn't be in the same room with him. They said he had a stench, and this is a germaphobe man. And they would walk circles around him, and Patton would just like look literally through me. And this is soon after he went on his Twitter rant about Q. And so this was an Easter promo for his show, and they needed a PA, and I didn't do a PA, did it, but before they went out, I got to wear a big Universal Studios Easter bunny hat, and I had my Q shirt on, which no one seemed to notice. I had a scarf. But and this wasn't a set that I could talk about things. I had comrades on certain sets, but this was like a Heidi, do your job. Yeah. And I was just like, please let me do this. But I caught myself with the picture of my Q and my white rabbit saying, I'm on a Patton Oswalt shoot. It was just like, and his team saw me, the team, his handlers, everybody saw me. That was my little thing. But anyway, she just worked with them, and she's like, I don't know why. I think I'm specifically being placed in these situations. And she doesn't feel nefarious about it. So that makes, we strongly believe a lot of people have been replaced, not Patton, but the higher ups. And I know for 2 years the CEOs have been getting replaced. So whether they're getting replaced with white hats, the good guys, begs to be seen. However, right before Ricky Gervais' opening of, was it the Emmys or Golden Globes or whatever?
Last year, yeah.
That was awesome. 5 days before, a week before, the CEO was replaced. So there, because I'm telling people, I go, that's not him on the fly. They would pull a Biden and go White House blackout if he goes off script.
Right.
They had the prompters, the cameramen, the producers, the whole editing. Everybody was in on it. So they knew what was going to come up. And so whether it's a Luma Donkey style of saying what they're doing and just to let the masses go over their head and like, see, we did it. Right. Or were they really red pilling the masses? And I feel like they're really red pilling the masses. Some of the content out there, super dark and nefarious, but then you get some good shit. So we watch things. We still watch. My kids watch, and there's this new thing, Bigfoot Family or something. It's a cartoon.
Okay.
Disclosure, and it's beautiful. It's like about your hands healing your own body on its own. Changing the myth of, being a fairy tale versus, not humaning, but just being a light being. It's just kind of cool. I was watching it like, I was like, there were so many little drops that I'm like, they did this with purpose. So this stuff is happening. People they just want to like burn over and start over. And I get that. But let these little guys that have been getting in there very strategically, they're going to rise and they're going to bring the others with. I just firmly believe that. Now, whether I go back on set or anything, that's another story. But well, what else with Hollywood? I have a feeling we're going to have to tap into another Hollywood one at some point. At least the filmmaking and, that side.
As far as all that stuff is concerned, like I can't speak on it because I don't live there. I've never worked there. I just did my little filmmaking thing here in Chicago, and it's just, my thing has always been like, I love the big popcorn movies, the big blockbuster stuff, but I get, like I said, I get fascinated by the little guys and all the work that they do. And when I was here a few years back, doing my film festival, it was cool to get like all of these submissions from all these filmmakers across the country and across the world. I had a guy from Japan send me something, a guy from Italy. So it was interesting. Like for me, like even looking back, I'm like, what? I tapped into somebody in Italy to send them, like for them to send me their little short film.
So cool.
To my little film festival in Chicago. So
that's awesome.
It's fascinating for me to see like the little guys like just produce. There's these guys, and I don't know if they've worked on any like big commercial productions. I'm sure they have, but again, like their little YouTube channel, they do CGI work. Okay. And one of the things that they talk about is like they'll take movie clips and they'll be like, this is why this is good CG, and this is why this is bad. And it's just like fascinating them digging into the details, and like I love that shit. I would love to see more of that stuff from regular folks.
Well, and so it is. So let's manifest it. I just realized all these little questions I was reading. Well, I have Javier and Aaron on here. I don't think he's in here anymore. It's just from YouTube. So I'm curious if there's any Facebook. I don't know if anybody's even peeking with the question, because maybe we should wrap it. Yeah. And is this part 2? Continued Hangout. Wow. There are still stuff on here. Aaron, Elizabeth, Jennifer. Used to have 3 kids in class, go to auditions in LA, just like the dry. Found out quick that I was not a mom that fit in. Sons dropped out on their own. My daughter was picked for a part, and she had to cuss and be super rude to her dad in the show, so I pulled her out. We moved and had to fight so hard to stop paying ICA agency. Oh, yeah, they get you. You sign like Willy Wonka shit. You don't know what you're signing for them, for any of them. Tough gig. Pray that all good love and light people come out of it. Yet still pushing and asking for Sound of Freedom to be released. Hell yeah. I think that's wonderful. I'm glad I read that. Thank you, Jennifer.
Yeah,
Um,
and Aaron just put in there that there's a small film festival in Door County.
What?
He's like, what?
Sweet! Oh my gosh, that's so cool.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like when I did my short films, you know, all the big ones were out there, the Tellurides, the South by Southwest, all that stuff. And all that stuff is cool and you want to get the recognition, but even the small film festivals, like all those people like myself were putting in a lot of work to get other filmmakers' creations seen on screen, but also trying to get butts in the seats. And so, yeah, man, if there's people in Door County that are like rocking it out with the film festival thing, like more power to you, man. That's awesome.
We need more of those, please.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm gonna have to try my hand in it again. Who knows? Who knows?
Well, and it's interesting because like we talked off camera thing, you know, you're like, I told you there's people that know me that are like, why did you give up the movie thing? Why aren't you doing it again? And I would love to. Right now I don't have the desire and the ambition to like go after it like I did in the past.
Right.
But I don't necessarily see it as something that's not part of my, you know.
Yes, same.
So,
I feel that is always going to be a part of my life and it will continue to be. It's just evolving. But the system that was put in place for it, oh my God, the money I've spent on like headshots and even the stapling your resume on the headshot days and promotion and all those things, and to go in circles when they've already picked their peeps based on the satanic ritual survivors, you know, things like that.
Yeah.
I think that obliterates and the systems, now everything's kind of digital. You can be your own self-promoter, your own agent, your own getting on there kind of stuff. But once this freaking CV scam shit goes
well, that's why I said like the whole YouTube is awesome, but it's also scary because like I like the fact that you can be a filmmaker and just put your stuff on YouTube, but the scary part is like if they decide to cut the cord and then they cut you from your channel. Yeah. It's like with Aaron, I saw your guys' interview. He's got his channel on YouTube. Like if YouTube just decides like, hey, Aaron is this guy that we don't want on our blah blah blah, and then they just cut him off. It's like, well, that fucking sucks. Yeah,
that whole thing's got to change. The systems have to change, but the entertainment is not going away. The KGB programming of it all and the MK Ultra Project Mockingbird programming and all, that's going to change, everybody. And it's going to, yeah. Well, we might have to wrap this up. I forgot my daughter's a sleepover and I was supposed to get her.
Yeah, it's almost dinner time over here.
Oh my God, it is. Sweet home Chicago.
Yeah.
Well, we'll have to play again.
I had lots of fun.
I like talking. Getting into it.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, thank you for time capsuling me. And asking me things. The last one, this one. I love that I can figure these things out now. I got the questions and the fun stuff. Thanks, peeps. Anybody who came to play today. Just trying to be transparent and show things. And if anybody ever wants to play on here, or if anybody has any questions for either Rick and I, please holler and we'll play again. Because I'm going to keep corralling Rick.
Yay.
Let's see if we can get the peeps together for a reunion or something.
That would be fun.
That would be fun. I wonder if Lawrence Wash, he's in town, and he's fighting the good fight. He's in the health side of things. He's been on the HCQ stuff for ages. So I'm very curious how he handled all that with his.
Yeah. If you're watching this, Mr. Lawrence, I clap to you, sir.
Keep fighting the good fight. And I don't even like using the word fight because that means like keep moving
doing your thing.
Keep moving through the dark. Yep. Dark to light. Yay! Well, thank you again, Rick. Thank you in the cyberland. And everyone enjoy your beautiful day and night. And my best to you, Rick. And I'm sure we'll talk soon, and I'll be texting you all later. Okay. Thanks, everybody. Thank you. And good night. I should have done it then. Cut. Oh wait, that didn't work either.